How many remember the transformation video of Alamango, Guatemala? George Otis, remember that?
Yeah.
Saw the huge fruit, saw the jail shut down, saw church birth, right? Yes? 2009, Lucille Palmer, Fairbanks, North Pole, in Alaska, applied the strategy. A few months later, besides the remarkable number of salvations, remarkable number of transformations, remarkable number of reconciliation, and they could go down a whole litany of testimonies, plus signs, crazy signs and wonders, too, showed up in the heavens and on the earth. But in October of 2009, they reported to me and said, we just had the Palmer State Fair, the State Fair in Palmer, and they recorded a 125.9-pound cabbage. That record's only been broken once in 140 years. And they just set a world record. They had set state records with 2 mushrooms weighing over 17 pounds. They broke the world record for rutabagas. And the point was, the land became very fruitful. In addition to the salvations, reconciliations, and all that kind of stuff. That was the year, too. They recorded the most gold produced since the 1916 gold rush. My point is, it wasn't watching a video and watching what people did. They made history because they chose to invite God's presence to continually to abide in their area. It blessed a lot of people. That's what we're talking about. It's based upon Nehemiah. ARC, whenever you hear me say ARC, Apostolic Resource Center, I want you to immediately begin to say, TIM means a strategic resource center, and TIM also means the city church. It's the church of a city. It's the church of a region. We're going to recognize there are tremendous gifts and talents in every single person here, as well as in congregation by congregation, family by family. And we want to be good stewards we want to be good stewards of those resources God put within you. The whole message this morning about honor, this morning, what I'm trying to say is, that's a great message. But it boils down to how do we actually treat each other. Next slide. I tried to share last time how there is a pattern all through Scripture. This here, on this diagram here, is originally the city of David and Zion. This didn't exist before. When David first took it, this was Zion, this was the high place, the citadel was right here, the Ark of the Covenant was pretty close to it. This was a walled city, high place. It's a strong defensive position. When I realized that David was a commander and a general, well, it's like, duh, no wonder he took it. It's a high place. That's a wise military maneuver. You want to have a strong base of operations to operate from. Later on, when I got to Nehemiah, which this is the wall Nehemiah took responsibility for, I want you to see a pattern here. In Zion, the city of David, there was Mount Zion, and he set up continual abiding 24/7 prayer, praise, and worship with these people stewarding. And it was just in a tent, right? The emphasis was not the structure, the emphasis was on the people to make sure the administration went on. And God was looking at this as the city. Okay? I was talking with Paul earlier today and said, if you look up city in the Hebrew, and I challenge you, go get your Strong's out and you look it up and you tell me what it says. And it says this: a city is a place guarded by a watch. So the question that comes to my mind, the way it works is, well, if you don't have a watch, is it really a city? Or is it a city with the walls torn down? Which is what Nehemiah got. Now I want you to see a pattern here. City of David, Ark and Zion. At the center of the city, at the heart of the city, was God's abiding presence. At the same time, there was a wall around about it. In Nehemiah's time, from Nehemiah 2 through 4, we see these walls extended, and you see how the gates were burned with fire, and the walls were broken down. There were gaps in the wall, right? And yet, we see the temple here. So Ezra was actually working with Nehemiah. There's like a 100-year plan God had. He said, I'm going to restore the city, and we got to focus on the temple, which they followed David's pattern in the temple. With the ongoing continuum for praise and worship. And they also had the walls. It's not either or, it was both, is what I want you to see. And in Nehemiah, it's the first example we see of a wall of prayer. Brenda brought out earlier and said in the scripture, it says, his wall shall be called salvation and his gates praise. Rocks don't get saved, folks. He's talking about people, those precious stones. And so here's the pattern. There's a wall, and then there's those people that steward the abiding presence of God 24/7 for praise and worship. It's not just the house of prayer. God's looking at the people of the city. Who's involved in the house of prayer? Well, Ezra had his priests doing the stuff in the house of prayer, but on the city, in Nehemiah chapter 4, it talks about the threat that faced the city. And it talked about how they were building a wall, family by family by family by family. Every family worked by two families. And what I'm describing to you is this thing called, whenever I talk about connect, it's a strategy God gave me many years ago. It's applied in a family, a church, a city. It doesn't matter what the scale is. It works. It's a biblical pattern.